and we are feeling our connection with one another, trusting that your heart is open to what God has for you this morning. I know that you're probably only here because of that, because Spirit has called you here. So trust that there's going to be something in this message for you, and know that Spirit will continue to lead you on your path with light. We like to do that also with music, and have some great songs for you this morning with our band Highest Good, Kim-Char, director. And we just want you to pay attention to the words that are going to show up on your screen here and sing along when you're comfortable, really listening to what it is that you are singing. Thank you.
Here we go, boys.
Good morning, everyone. God loves me. That was beautiful, Kitty. God loves us, and we take that love and share it with the rest of the world. Let's sing this together. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry, put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know you won't let hatred grow, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see, wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. People now put a little love in your heart each and every day. Put a little love in your heart. There's no other way. Put a little love in your heart. Come on now, put a little love in your heart. Come on now, put a little love in your heart.
We allow the love to rise, yes? This beautiful current, this energy of love. We just sang about sharing it, because we are one. It's already shared. Maybe we don't know it yet. Is that a proper sentence? It's already shared? Sounds good to me, right? We are one in that love, in that spirit, right? Are the boys ready? Here we go. We are one in the spirit. We are one in the light. We are one in the spirit. We are one in the light.
side by side. We will work with each other. We will work side by side. We will guard each one's dignity and lift each one's pride. And we'll know we are family by love, by love. And we'll know we are family by love. And we'll know we are family by love. One more time. And we'll know we are family by love.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Love that song. Perfect song for today. Perfect song for every day. If we can just remember that we are family, working together, living together, loving together. So important. You know, that song was written in the mid-'60s where there was a whole lot of disturbance going on. Not so much living and loving together, but a desire to. There was something, a message coming forward for us louder and louder at that time in our history, saying, let us know we are family, and we will prove it through our love. Let's take a moment to make that connection to the source of love in our hearts right now. Giving thanks, sweet Spirit. A divine love fills heaven and earth always. And this morning we allow ourselves to immerse into that energy of love, trusting that it sees our good, it knows our good, it desires our good, it works for our good. And so we step back out of our judgment, out of our fear, out of any unworthiness, any shame, any need to blame or hurt others. We let go of that and know that there is only love in this presence. Thank you, God. Amen. Let's speak this truth that we speak here every week. It's an opportunity for us to remember how there can be only love here. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And so it is.
Play that again, guys. Play that again.
I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Let's sing that again. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. Go ahead, Mark. send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love, I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. And it returns to me. And it returns to me.
That's how it works. That is how it works. Send it out, it comes back. Good news, you don't have to manufacture it. The love, the joy, the peace already present within us. We just have to know it, allow it, direct it outward, open up and receive it back again. I'm so glad to have this time to be able to talk a little bit about Black History Month. And you know, one thing I've heard as I've talked to a few of my friends getting ready for today's service is that there are varying opinions about whether we should have a month or have it go all year, or why do we even need it. You know, my opinion means nothing really when it comes to this, but I tell you that it makes my heart happy to hear what we usually get to hear during Black History Month, because they're stories that have been hidden for a long time. And most of us alive today have heard plenty about racism and slavery, but very little about the accomplishments, the achievements of our Black community all around us. And they've been going on for decades and centuries. It's high time that we knew this, and I really believe that coming to understand these stories better helps us to understand one another better, and helps to deepen that connection to one another. It promotes understanding. It creates a sense of oneness, because we see that we're all the same. Our stories, the things that matter to each other are the same. They're human needs. And so I'm glad to be able to share a few contributions with you today, but also some other perspectives. And that as we do this on a regular basis, whether it's monthly or every day of the year, every year, that little by little we will eradicate racism and move past tolerance and move into a sense of celebration of our diversity, and to be able to just feel that deeper love and appreciation for one another, no matter who we are, no matter what we look like. So I had a chance to chat with a few of my friends this past week that were, in some cases I hadn't talked to in a long time, so it was really fun to connect with them. And you're going to be hearing different perspectives, as I mentioned. I wanted to start with one of our own Unity members. His name is Paul Luke Newland, and before COVID, he was sitting back here at our tech booth, so we're looking forward to having him come back soon. But I actually tracked him down. He was driving a route down to Florida carrying much-needed COVID supplies to a school system down there, and he was kind enough to get on his phone with me while he was sitting in the sweltering heat and we were freezing up here in Chicago, and just share a few of his thoughts about what Black history means to him. And that was kind of my question, is what in Black history do you appreciate? Do you want to share? Has some meaning to you? So let's start with Paul and see what he has to say. Parker?
Hey, hi. What Black history means to me. I first want to say thank you to all of those who came before me, all the forefathers and Black entrepreneurs.
Can I hear it? Because I need to know when you get it.
All the historians who fought so hard to get me where I am today, and motivate me, because if it weren't for them, I would be like, just, well, besides my parents. But anyway, I really appreciate and respect what they've done for us so far and going forth. As far as the entrepreneurs, as you know of Alexander Miles, he did the elevator door. As of today, we're using a lot of these inventors and inventions that were done already. The automatic elevator door of Alexander had done that. Garrett Morgan, he did the traffic light that we use today. He helped found the traffic light. He put the amber part of it in it, and because there were too many accidents, so he invented the amber part to make people yield before the red. So that was, real interesting. And then I really want to say how I want to touch on my mother was a huge inspiration. And I didn't realize this when she was back in high school, back in 1950, she actually was the first African-American woman who was crowned Spire's Queen. And Spire's Queen is like of the whole school, the whole school of that year. She was Queen, Spire's Queen, and it went just all over the papers and the news, and she just got a lot of recognition for it. And so I was really happy for that she was honored in that. So my hat's off to that.
That was actually a Catholic school that she was part of, and they were open and receptive enough to allow that to even be. It's kind of like homecoming queen, imagine. And I think the king, I saw in the newspaper picture that the person crowned as king was white, and so they had an integrated couple there. That was a pretty big deal back in the 50s. So I wanted to share a couple thoughts, a little bit different point of view in regards to not so much about the single achievements that they wanted to share, but a different thought about the concept of Black history from a couple Unity ministers. Let me just read these to you. Sherry Taylor Jones said that, "I have a dream that Black History Month becomes obsolete. As contributors of all races, colors, and creeds are honestly and accurately given a place in history, we'll see more equality in schools, economy, and our communities. There will be an awakening that each of us is God expressing, regardless of the color of our skin." And also, Unity Minister Kevin Ross said that Black history is our American history. Let's celebrate accomplishments of African Americans all year round and normalize excellence and high achievements of individuals of African descent. And I really appreciated the way that another one of our Unity community, Leela Siegel, put it. She's kind enough to share her thoughts and just says it so eloquently. Let's take a listen to what she has.
Hello, Unity family. So I will admit that I've long had mixed feelings about Black History Month. On the one hand, it's a wonderful time to celebrate and acknowledge the significant contributions of Black Americans to this country. Each February, it fills me with tremendous joy and pride to see the accomplishments of the Black community being celebrated and shared outside of the Black community. Yet, on the other hand, it feels like the opportunity to ask an important question: why do we have a separate month for Black history? Why didn't any of us learn Black history in school, in our textbooks? Isn't Black history part of American history? I would say so. Black people have fought in every major war in this country, helped design and build cities, and provided much of the labor that helped to make this country rich. We invented the blood bank, the traffic light, the blues, and numerous other inventions. We even helped to get the first man in space. So my message to you is that while I'm grateful for February to celebrate Black History Month, and I do encourage you to take some time to learn more about the contributions of Black Americans, I also want to remind you that Black history is an essential part of American history. Please don't forget about us. the rest of the year. Thanks.
Thank you, Leela. I just thought she put that out there so clearly that really hits home and gives us an opportunity to not set apart, but to see as equal. And then I started to get some feedback from a couple friends that were taking it even to a little bit higher perspective, where, again, it wasn't so much about achievements as much as it was about consciousness that I wanted you to hear. We're going to hear from Vicki Johnson first. She and I went to high school together down in Peoria. Barely spoke, I think, when we were in high school together, but did talk a little bit more at a recent reunion and therefore became friends on Facebook. And I have just so admired the historian in her. I don't know if she would say that she's a trained historian, but to me she is, because she shares such beautiful stories on Facebook about Black history that I have become educated through. And I just wanted her to share her thoughts about Black history today. And then following that, we're going to hear from my friend Wayne Francis. And I think Wayne was probably the first Black person I'd met in Unity when I was going to a church out in California. I couldn't call him an African American because he's not American. Although you might have gotten his citizenship. Now that I think about it, who cares? I love him. I love Wayne Francis. So we're going to hear a little bit from Wayne Francis and share their thoughts today, Vicki and Wayne, one after another. Thanks, Parker.
The month of February represents many celebrations. President's Day, Valentine's Day, American pies, and canned food. But I look forward to learning about the trials, tribulations, and contributions of my ancestors, African Americans. Now, mind you, I'm learning about our history every month of the year, but February is the time for the rest of America to take a few moments out of their busy lives and learn something new about a people who've been here for 400 years, 12 generations. What I find in my readings is a reoccurring theme in American history: the resilience of Black people whose capacity to recover quickly from unbelievable hardships seems to know no bounds. I'm embarking on 2 new territories of learning this year. I'm going to learn about ice hockey and Lithuanian Americans, a game and a people I hardly know anything about. I want to know more. I hope that in spite of all the bad things that transpired last year, that this year we Americans begin to learn about each other, get an increased appetite for knowledge, a better understanding of other Americans who are different from us, outside our communities, our racial group, our tribe. I believe that a lot of Americans, if not most, have a spirituality, an incredible faith in something greater than ourselves that prevents us from giving up on a country, a government that frequently falls short, failed us through the centuries. I believe our faith will and can save us from ourselves. We're the ones that we've been waiting for.
My name is Wayne Francis, and I live in Brentwood, California, which is a suburb outside of San Francisco. And I was asked about my experiences in Black History Month. And for me, I don't know if I can speak on Black History Month because it's more than just a month. It's a life, it's an experience, it's a journey. And I can say that mine is somewhat unique, at least to me. It didn't start here in America. It started in London, England, where I was born. And then I lived in Jamaica, where my parents were originally from. And coming to America was an interesting experience because it was a little different than the other countries that I'd lived in prior to that. The one thing that has kept me on this journey is perseverance. And I think that is something that is a common thread within the African American community in America. Perseverance and a spiritual belief that there is something greater and that we're following a path that is laid before us. There's been a lot of progress that has been made over the years and still a lot more to be made, I think. But I think we're heading in the right direction. Some of that journey is required to break barriers and change perceptions. And one of the messages that I got in coming into Unity many years ago was that you can't get to the other side of the lake by holding on to the dock. And I try to at times not to hold on to the dock myself, and I think that could be helpful to every one of us. So I guess in closing, Black History Month isn't just a one-sided recognition. I think it's a recognition within all of us to reach out to the other side and see what's over there and how we can make things better, including ourselves. And it's not just relegated to a month for me, it's a lifetime, and it has been a lifetime journey. I'm truly grateful and blessed for most of the experiences that I've had, and hope to continue doing so and enriching the lives of others through those experiences.
Thank you, Wayne and Vicki and Leela and Paul. Isn't it interesting just to hear all these different perspectives? There's no one single, answer. Interest in regards to Black history, which is educational in itself. Now, something I wanted to do today that may make you want to go, is that I wanted to share a little bit about Unity's role in Black history and also African Americans' role in Unity's history. Unity does not have a very proud history when it comes to how we moved through, after the Civil War and right up until the Civil Rights Movement that took over in the 60s. But I want you to know it. I think it's important that we know it, because unless we own it and we see where we came from, it's difficult to heal. And I think what you'll see here, call it what you want. What speaks loudly to me, and not knowing the Fillmores and all those who were part of the leadership of Unity in those decades, I can't swear what was in their consciousness, but I would like to believe that if they were teaching what we teach in Unity today, that there was some kind of split in their consciousness that they were not aware of. And that is partly that unconscious bias that we have talked about here before. And I think you'll see how very clear that whether it was conscious or unconscious, there was definitely a form of bias that they weren't willing to stand up to in the early part of the 20th century. Now, keep in mind that Unity was formed in the 1890s, so it wasn't that long after the Civil War when the New Thought movement and Unity itself got going. And even though they called it the New Thought movement, there was a lot of old thought going on in consciousness. So we hope that as we see it today, we can continue to heal it, because I know that there has been efforts made over the last few decades to heal it, and I still feel that there's a ways that we can go in consciousness. But a few for instances, back in 1904, they began a weekly newsletter in Unity, and they occasionally would put in a joke, like most newsletters have jokes. However, once in a while, those jokes were about darkies. And though they probably thought they were supporting African Americans at the time, they were still very demeaning. And thankfully, by 1912, they came to an abrupt stop. And not long after that, a few years after, in 1919, you began to see in that newsletter a listing for a Unity class for colored people. That's how they were referred to back in those days. And that was the first time that was made available to just the Black community. And it was in someone's home there in the Kansas City area. Well, lo and behold, over the next 30 years, probably up to 1950, those colored people study groups and Unity centers began to pop up all over the country, still segregated in nature. And this was a time period where should they come to Unity Village, because they were offering classes and meetings where they could learn more about the Unity principles, they were welcome in the training. However, they could not live on the grounds. The grounds were still segregated, and they also could not eat at their well-known vegetarian inn, the Unity Inn. So they could come for training, but they had to go elsewhere to stay and to eat. And one of the articles that was written about this in a Kansas City newspaper back in the 1930s was that Unity said it was obliged to abide by city and state ordinances. It said it's not within our province to force acceptance of the Negro race upon the public. So right there, you just want to tear your hair out. We feel that we can do more to continue to help our colored friends by keeping a feeling of good fellowship between races until full love, which we are teaching at Unity School, can be established within the hearts of men. So, that is a good question for all of us to take in. If there's a law that says we must segregate and you are teaching full love, what do you do? What do you do? That's an interesting question. By 1946, they were allowing black community to attend their training schools, but they were still prohibited from living on grounds and eating at the inn. And then this said that, writing said that Unity said that Negroes, at that time, that's what they were called, Negroes are in agreement regarding the idea of segregation as to their living quarters. Now, who knows whether that's true or not? No real good is ever accomplished by forcing races to mingle together. I'm sure their word forcing was important there. Unity firmly believes that in the near future, ideas of segregation will be lifted up in the degree that races can associate together in peace, love, and goodwill. So God bless our history, and yet they obviously had a ways to go, as we still do today. But back in 1946, by 1950, there had been 6 African Americans who came into the Unity Ministerial School and became ministers. So before 1950, we had 6 ministers from the African American community, one of which actually came to Chicago and started Southside Unity. Her name was Henrietta Gordon. She had had a stroke and a nervous breakdown, and she would claim that Unity's teachings healed her. They mattered so much to her that she wanted to become a minister, and she brought those teachings into a church in Chicago. And that was back in 1941. But there's 2 folks that I want to talk about this morning that I think made a huge difference, not only to the Unity movement, but most especially the work that they did made it possible for a greater number of African Americans to learn about Unity's teachings and also to become Unity ministers. I wanted to start with Reverend Johnny Coleman, which to me is always a bittersweet story. This is someone who, I think that what happened to her in the early 50s was that she received a phone call from a doctor who told her that whatever was wrong with her was going to take her life within 6 months. And it was one of those shocks that she had that she stepped back, ran into a table, knocked off a magazine, and it laid open to Unity's prayer of faith. And in that prayer of faith, it says, God is my health, I can't be sick. And that just came at a time when she grabbed hold of that, wanted to know more. She called her mother and said, who are these Unity people? And her mom said, you know what, why don't you go to Unity Village and just get to know them? And so she did. And she arrived early in the 50s at Unity Village and began studying and taking their trainings. Could not live on the grounds. Even though she was going to seminary there, she couldn't live on the grounds. And after a couple years, the commute to where she had to live to the village was such a hardship that she was ready to give up. And there were some students in the school who wanted to take up her cause and make a way for her to live on the grounds. And they did. They were able to change that ruling. They found a way to give her a worker's cottage, separate from everyone else, but still on the ground. So little by little, they're making headway, not as much as we would like, but she continued to study until she was ordained in 1956. And then she moved to Chicago to start a study group. And within a couple of years, 250 people were attending her study group. And she continued working on formalizing it in such a way that she was named as a full status ministry in 1963. Now, a couple years later, she had a teen group that chose to come back here to Unity Village for a special teen rally or conference. And while they were here, or at Unity Village, word got back to Reverend Johnny Coleman that her children were not being allowed to swim in the Unity swimming pool. And she got on a plane and flew to Unity Village and said, nobody else will be swimming in this pool if my children can't swim. And they... before she left the grounds, her children were swimming in the pool. So she's not letting Unity coast, but continuing to show us what needs to be changed about our consciousness. And by the time it was 1968, which is a year that we probably are all familiar with, the year that Martin Luther King was assassinated, she was named the first black vice president of the Association of Unity Churches. So that's kind of an overarching group that oversees all of our churches. And that was the first time that an African American served in that position. And since that was the year that Martin Luther King was killed, they asked her to represent Unity and go around and visit as many Unity churches as would host her, remember, still in the 60s here, that she could help to talk about coming together. And she had a talk entitled, "There Is No Hiding Place." And she covered these ideas of the effects of racism. And what was told about it was that there were some churches that accepted her and appreciated what she had to say, but still some Unity churches not very accepting of her message. And her only hope was that I've been there to plant seeds. So in 1969, she was named the president of the Association of Unity Churches, again a first for a black person, and began starting conventions, which we host to this day for the Unity ministers and our congregants. And then in 1974, this was the year that makes me sad. First of all, she was invited back to Unity Village to host a healing conference. And during this conference, she came, birthed from the foundings of the Fillmores and Unity. The whole concept of Unity was birthed on healing. Reverend Johnny Coleman came in with the concept, there will be eyes opened at this healing service. There will be people raised up out of their wheelchairs at this healing service. Now, not knowing her background from church sounds very similar to what I knew in my Pentecostal days, and I'm sure that kind of worried a few white Unity traditionalists, and showed some concern after the conference was over about her teaching methods. And there was some kind of fear there from Johnny Coleman's perspective that her church might be taken from her. So in 1974, she left the Unity movement, took her church out of the Unity movement, and began an association similar to Association of Unity Churches. It was called the Universal Foundation for Better Living, which gave birth to several New Thought churches that, not necessarily intentionally, but would serve the African American community. And also that she started her own seminary to help train African American ministers. And the church that she had started quite a while back was now called Christ Universal Temple, up here on the screen. She, last I heard, it was running around 5,000 members. So she made a huge difference in the New Thought movement, taking her Unity training and creating something historic, really, in this United States. One of her students was Della Reese, who you might know, you older folks might know from television, entertainer. And Della Reese studied to become a minister at one of her churches, or her training center, and went off and started her church in Los Angeles in 1987. And then she continued to do radio shows, which we have hosted and played from our archives. If you want to go back and listen to her, she's on Unity Online Radio. So check that out. Just do a search, unityonlineradio.org, and look in the archives for Della Reese, and you can hear some of her old radio shows. The other person that I really wanted to celebrate today was Ruth Mosley. And Ruth started her ministerial training in the early 60s. Now she could live on grounds. Now she could eat at the inn, still couldn't swim in the swimming pool. But she, as she continued to enjoy equal privileges to some extent, there were still students in the 1960s who felt like not everyone should have equal rights and would grumble and complain about that. But she carried on. She got her ordination. She moved to Detroit and started Westside Unity there. And not long after that, Ebony Magazine did an article that included Unity in it and talked about how there was a shortage of African American ministers in the Unity movement. And so when she heard that, something awoke in Ruth Mosley's heart, and she felt led to start what we call Unity's Urban Ministerial School. And this was also created in Detroit, which made a major contribution to being able to train up and ordain Unity ministers in the African American community and accomplish several things. Up here on the screen, this was in 1979 in Detroit when it began. Ruth Mosley's school was about attracting more African Americans into the Unity ministry, also creating a space where they could easily attend school without having to move lock, stock, and barrel to Unity Village in Kansas City to do their training. It was an opportunity for them to become well-versed in the Unity principles and then also bring those teachings into urban communities and not just in the Detroit area, all around the country. So the training wasn't limited to black students, but the goal was that whoever graduated there would serve urban communities when they left and carry a message of hope and faith with them into the inner cities. So the first graduates of Unity's Urban Ministerial School, led by Ruth Mosley, came in 1983, and their focus was really about starting urban churches, about serving in prison ministries and urban hospital chaplains. They also were involved in street ministries that served AIDS patients, which that has become a very effective government program to this day. The urban ordinance also are serving the homeless. They're serving those in drug rehabilitation, substance abuse chaplains for those on parole, and just fulfilling that calling. So not only did we see the number of Unity churches expand in urban areas, but also all kinds of ministries, and ordained up to over 200 people at this point from that school. Now, Ruth Mosley passed last year, and she was 90 years old. She spent at least her final year in a care facility, but even then, Ruth Mosley was a minister who served. She served her fellow residents as a spiritual advisor. She encouraged them to discover that God-given potential within themselves, no matter how old they were, no matter what their circumstances were, to unleash that God potential and continue to commune with the God that was within. That's Ruth Mosley and her contribution. And to this day, it's a very important part of Unity's training of ministers in this country. She is quoted as saying, "I'm a spokesperson for God," and that applies to everyone who seeks a higher level of consciousness. So that means staying awake to your words. What it is that you are speaking in the world, and does it align with that Christ consciousness within? I mentioned earlier that in the early days of Unity, they had a belief that segregation would dissolve someday, and that we would find the races living together in peace, love, and goodwill. Now, the laws have been abolished to dissolve segregation. The laws are now written to remove segregation from existence, and yet we have a ways to go in living in peace and love and goodwill between races. You know, I'm hoping that if you're watching today, it's because what you learn from Unity and our teachings matter to you, and we're really depending on you to study them to the point where you not only hear them, but you practice them in such a way that it starts to dissolve that unconscious bias within each one of us, to really pay attention to what we have accepted as normal versus what we know to be true in spirit. This is a chance to practice our teachings and realize that with God as the only presence, we are all one with God, and we are all one with each other. So I'm just, one more time, wanting to offer my gratitude to our contributors this morning. We heard from Leela and Paul. We heard from Vicki and Wayne. And I just loved hearing from their hearts and hearing each one of their individual stories. And as long as we can continue to be good listeners and hear those stories, no matter what they share, it's an opportunity for us to educate ourselves and find that sense of oneness with each other. We will start to build a bridge and heal racism in our country. I wanted to have one last share from Kevin Ross, the Unity Minister, who I think puts it in a really wonderful way. Let's listen to Kevin, and then we'll take some time in meditation.
I believe that the Unity teachings are ideal for times like this when we are having questions around racial equality, because our core belief is that I am one with God, I am one with all people, I am one with all life. And when we really understand our oneness with one another, then we move from holding the ideal of unity as a passive virtue and a passive philosophy to becoming unifiers, that is, the bridge builders that causes the coming together of people from all backgrounds and walks of life to share the common good that is all our birthright.
I'll just invite you to allow what we've heard today to sink into your heart for a few moments. As we allow our body to relax and get out of the way of our heart, you might take a deep breath and release. Feel your shoulders relax and your hands open. Feel a connection to all those who are here in this moment together, turning our thoughts within. People you've never met, who are all here for different reasons. And yet all focused here and now on the same idea, God. Whatever name you use, our hearts and minds center on God. This is the mind that sees all of us as one. That sees itself living and breathing through each human being. Take a moment with this breath to feel that calm, loving presence within us. It is the presence that knows you as light. It is the presence that is the very life of every being on this planet. This presence loves without condition. and seeks only to be its full and glorious self through each person. We feel that presence in our heart and extending outward and touching all other beings so that we know we are one. One with this infinite presence. We know there is so much to do and be. There are no limits on any one of us, for God is the creator of our life. And in our oneness with one another, we celebrate how God creates and expresses uniquely. I was born to be me. Hold that thought in your heart for a moment. I was born to be me. And in this holy moment, I say yes to that unlimited spark of the divine within, to be the me I was created to be. And at the same time, celebrating all other beings, each designed and born to be them. Loving Spirit, we celebrate life in all its colors, in all its expressions, and all its beauty. Grateful to have the opportunity to be me, just as I am, and allowing that same truth and love for all of life. Thank you, God. Amen. This time in our service, we share our tithes and our love offerings. And I would just invite you to take a moment to consider how Spirit has blessed you with the good in your life. That each one of us know that connection to our divine source and hopefully gratefully receive all the good that God has for us. And also know that we are a channel for God to work in the world. And so if whatever it is that nourishes you spiritually, this is your opportunity to think about who that is and to give. You know, we happen to do it during our service every Sunday. If unity is nourishing you spiritually and you want to sustain what you're learning and supporting others in the process, then you are welcome to share your tithes and love offerings this morning, and we are grateful, so grateful. We have a couple ways to do it. There's a donate button on our Facebook page and also on our unityinnaperville.org website. Or if you'd like to mail your gifts, you can send them to Unity in Naperville at our P.O. Box, which is 9733, Naperville, Illinois, 60567. But more importantly, as we are giving, we are blessing what we give. And this is a way to remind us not only where our good comes from, but what we are releasing it to do. So let's speak this blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. Thank you.
I like this part right here. Come on. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the add a little something to it, just to encourage you. We're gonna take it to church right now. Let's go! We'll keep marching right until the victory is won. To all my brothers out there, hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. To all my sisters in the struggle, keep believing, sister, till the victory is won. Till that day, comes. Hey, let us march on to victory. Till victory.
Yes, good stuff. Sometimes Lift Every Voice and Sing, sometimes known as the Black National Anthem. That was Kirk Franklin and several of his friends. And there's many more verses, so if you'd like to do some research on that, you might take a look online. Also, I just wanted to let you know that I posted a dozen different resources, some of which I referred to here today. As a matter of fact, some of the history that I shared with you today came out of a presentation from some African American ministers in training in the last decade or two that I've included a link to as well. So you might want to just browse through our unitycommunityconnect.com site. We'll say that several times today. And there is a Safe Hearts channel where I've posted several new resources just to educate yourself and to celebrate many of the people in Unity who have contributed from the African American community. I hope you'll take a look at that. This is a time where I can share a little bit more with you about things that are going on here at Unity online for the most part right now. But I just first of all wanted to say welcome to those of you who are here for the first time, and glad that you shared this day with us. And if you'd like to know more about not only who we are, but what we're up to, then you might want to add your name to our e-news list that comes out through email every Tuesday. If you want to go to unityinnaperville.org, right on the homepage, here's a place for you to put your email and join the mailing list. And I hope that you'll do that, and then we can keep you posted, especially about when the building is going to reopen. That's coming up in the near future. There's a few things going on. If you would like to join us and contribute some ideas towards events that can happen here at Unity, our events team is meeting Monday night online at 6:30. That's tomorrow night. So if you want to go, just send an email to admin@unityinnaperville.org, and she'll give you a link to join up for the meeting. Whether you want to be part of the team or you just want to share an idea, come on over tomorrow night at 6:30. Also, every Tuesday and Thursday for the last year, we have been doing lunch online. How's that going, Kim-Char? Can you believe it?
That's amazing. Time has flown and people are eating. People still eat during lunchtime. I'm happy to report.
Wonderful.
And it's great to see faces, even if it's just for 5 minutes popping in, just check in with one another. And whether you've been with us or not, there's always a first time.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, Thursdays at noon.
Yeah, unitycommunityconnect.com. There's that website again, and look for the Lunch Together Online channel, and then the Zoom link from there. We are still doing our mission statement class. We're figuring out how to create our own personal mission statement, which I think is really important right now as we start to break free from COVID restrictions. Where are we going to go from here? What's really going to live in our life? What has become important to us in this past year that may change our life? And so we're studying a book called The Path, which you can order online. And then join me on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Again, unitycommunityconnect.com, and look for the Classroom 1 channel. There will be a Zoom link there. Every Friday this month in March, we are hosting a group on unitycommunityconnect.com called Sharing Circles. And it's another chance for community to meet new people, to learn about their interests. And there's actually some topics that are offered with some questions every week that give you a chance to think about who you are and what you want to share with other people. And you're put into these little small groups of like 3 or 4 people to talk about your answers. And it's a great way for people who especially are shy and want to just work with a small group of people to check in and just share from your heart. So again, unitycommunityconnect.com, and look for the Sharing Circles channel for that. That's every Friday at 7. We like to celebrate birthdays around here even when we're not in the building. So if you were born in March, we want to sing to you next Sunday. If you'd like to send a photo, your name, and your birthday to admin at unityinnaperville.org. We'll show you next week on the screen, and we'll be singing to you. So I hope that you'll do that.
Just a note, Kitty.
Yeah.
So I think some people think that I get the admin mail. So
Oh.
they sent it to my personal email, but I actually don't check admin at Unity in Naperville.
Okay, you know,
I
that's-
received a couple
that's
of
Melody.
wonderful birthday pictures
Oh,
this
good.
week, though. But I forwarded them.
Okay.
But be sure to send it to admin at unityinnaperville.org.
Excellent. Thank you. We are going to celebrate Earth Day, which happens late in April, by recycling styrofoam. So if you find yourself coming home with a styrofoam cup from a restaurant or some kind of packaging that you don't know how to get rid of, hold on to it, wash it off, and bring it with you here when we open the building in April. You can bring it on April 11th and 18th, and we'll make sure that it gets disposed of properly for, I don't know if they recycle it, but they have some way of getting rid of it, right? That's healthy for the earth. And a couple things that I would like you to save the date for. Coming up on March 20th is a watercolor brush pen class, and you can read more about that on our calendar. We'll tell you more later. And also March 28th and April 10th, we will have another Unity membership class, and there's details on our e-news and online about that as well. So save those dates for us. I don't know if you can tell yet on camera, but there has been a ton of painting going on in this building, and we've got a teeny weeny bit to finish, and then we are ready to go in here. And I just want to give a big, big, big thank you to Steve Landry, who has done this job beautifully.
Great job.
Just an awesome job in both the sanctuary and the whole front half of the building. And then the next thing we're going to start on is the stage. So guess what? We've got a month before we reveal this to you on April 4th, which is Easter Sunday. We need your help. So if you could volunteer to help Steve do some building off and on, you know what it really is? It's like there's going to be a pile of lumber in here, and he said, could you bring me that board? If you can do that, come on over. If he can hand you a screw and give you an electric screwdriver and say, screw that in right there, he could use your help. I mean, it's simple little things like
so
that.
I don't have to be part of the Carpenters Union.
Okay.
Don't have to have previous experience, is what I'm hearing.
No,
Okay.
no, this is volunteer. So
You can do that.
Yes, yes. So I hope that you'll consider doing that. Again, let us know if you're interested by sending an email to admin@unityinnaperville.org. We'll put you on the list, and then we'll reach out to you when we're ready to start scheduling some of these little project days. And one last thing, we're still receiving offerings for this whole fundraiser to create our stage and our backdrop that's coming up. So if you haven't donated but you really wanted to get involved in the fundraiser project, you can still do that. Send in your donations just like I explained earlier today, either online or by mail. Just make sure that you note the stage when you're sending in your offerings. Okay, we have prayer chaplains available today to pray with you over the phone. So if you would like a one-on-one prayer conversation with a chaplain, just send an email now to prayer@unityinnaperville.org and give your name and a phone number, and one of our chaplains will call you back before 1 o'clock today to pray with you. Why, look, here comes one now. Actually, thank you for the reminder, because after we finish our final song and we have our final affirmation, we want to chat with you a little bit more, where you can text me like somebody just did, or you can use the text box, comment box on Facebook or on our website. Just tell us, if you had questions about today or you want to make a comment about today. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll be doing that, but let's do a couple things first. There it is again. Why, we have another. Way to go, guys. Excellent. But let's sing first. What are we singing?
One Love.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Are you ready to sing? Words on the screen.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get a little more. Here we go. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Everybody, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's take it up. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Everybody, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Yeah. Let's get together and feel alright now. Let's get together and feel. Go for the big end. We'll go for the big end here. You with us? Let's feel alright.
And thank you, Highest Good. And thank you, Bob Marley, another
Yes,
contribution, and Curtis Mayfield, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Love that song. It's an oldie but goodie. So I started to say that you could text me, but I don't know if I said out loud what the text number is. So try 630-793-0993. And
But
I
we
will-
clearly heard from the beeps that people were texting already.
Yes.
So that was good.
yes, but those are probably the folks who know all about this already. So yeah, you can text us now. Or you can put a comment in the Facebook Live page or over on our website, unityinnaperville.org. What did you think about the service today? What do you want us to know from your point of view? What kind of questions do you have? And make sure you give a big shout out to Leela and Paul and Wayne and
thank you.
Vicky and Kevin for their contributions today.
Yes.
Thank you. So something that Here, I can do this. I can do this. Today, I said a comment. I didn't know where the styrofoam went, what they did to it, but they do recycle it at DART. So we are doing a good thing if you'll bring your styrofoam into Unity.
At where?
DART.
DART.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, let's do our closing affirmation. For those of you who are rushing to get on with your day, let's remember this thought, Kitty, up here on the screen. Together? Every face I see reveals one spirit. Every person I meet reveals one heart. That is the truth, my loves. Know that for yourself this week. Keep looking for that one heart and that one spirit as you move through your day. And who wants to say anything? Anybody got something to say?
You know, I think a couple people were commenting on the Kirk Franklin video.
Yeah.
Chills, powerful music. Yeah, what a rendition of that song. Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. He puts out some quality stuff. I don't, it's kind of funny because he's known as a singer, but you never hear him sing. He usually is fantastic at putting groups together,
Right. Exactly.
who sing beautiful harmony, and that's a good example of that. But he has made a huge contribution from the African American movement to music in general and harmony in our lives. So thank you, Kirk Franklin,
Yes.
for that.
This is from Gordon Herzog, who must have a personal connection. He says, "Thank you, Wayne Francis. It was great to see you again. It's been
Yeah.
a long time."
Yeah, well, Gordon used to live in California too, so
Well, of course.
and
Yeah,
he
that
went
makes
to
sense.
he knew we were friends, so they got to know each other out there in California. I'm trying to get my way into Facebook just to see if there's anything. going on
Rhonda
there.
says, "We are the, quote, unifiers. I acknowledge that as truth, and so it is."
Yes, thanks for
Yes.
noticing that, Rhonda. I like that word too. That it's not just unity like a sedentary principle, but it's an actual action verb when you think of it as unify in
Yes.
consciousness with one another. That's part of our work here, is to build those bridges.
Kathy Falser writes, "I grew up in the Unitarian Church, also a loving, egalitarian, inclusive denomination. They, too, are reckoning with their history of racial bias. We can only grow through it into a more perfect love by acknowledging what has come before, what we need to heal." It's so true.
Yes.
And I have to say, listening to some of what you were sharing, I was a little startled and almost started to cry.
I
Katie.
know. I know.
I don't know.
It's
what
hard to hear.
Am I the only one? I was just so
No.
emotional hearing
Yeah.
that. But you're right. We have to acknowledge what has come before as we move forward.
Yes.
In order to move
Yeah.
forward. I totally agree, Kathy.
Yeah. I think what is so powerful about hearing that is to recognize how even a spiritually motivated, built,
Yeah.
group was unconscious about what bias really is. And, that the only way it will be healed is when we can wake up to the point where we say, no, this law is wrong.
Yes.
This law is wrong. So, God bless them for the work that they did. And it took a while, and it's, still we're discovering, to this day, there's probably still people. I think that, some of my Unity friends who are African American could say that they've bumped up against prejudice in a Unity church. So we're not immune from it. And the question is, am I waking up to my own unconscious bias? This is what I'm asking us to do as often as possible, is to awaken to what's happening within our own hearts. And what we took as normal is really still bias. So educate, educate, educate. That's why that Safe Hearts channel is a good place to start, to just get familiar with what's really going on.
Yes.
I
I have a lot of thank yous and shout outs to Paul, Ela, Vicky, Wayne for their videos and for
Good.
sharing with us this morning.
Good deal.
Acknowledge that.
Mary Beth, I think, is saying this. Awesome, honest look at Unity's evolving awakening. Thank you, Rev Kitty, and all who shared so beautifully. Sent a screenshot of her quote to my friend, Rev Sherry Taylor Jones. She loved it. Thank you. She has a whole woke ministry called Preach It, Sista. Preach it is one word, and Sista is one word. So look it up. I quoted her this morning, Sherry, Sheree Taylor Jones. Thank you, Mary Beth, for that.
Susan K. Stein writes, this is probably on the heels of us singing the song, "I Send My Love Over to My Naperville Unity Family."
Oh, thank you.
Susan.
Thank you much. Somebody wrote, thank you. Let's see. Leela. Thanks, Leela. Here we go. Thank you so much for this service. I was so honored to be a part of it, and it was so nice to hear the other perspectives. I also really appreciate you telling the story of Unity's history and Johnny Coleman. I've been to her center, and it is amazing. Unity's history hasn't always been pretty, but it has come such a long way. So I'm going to cry. So proud to be a part of Unity now and Unity in Naperville. Leela Siegel. Love you, Leela.
Leela.
Thanks, honey.
Thank you. And Vicki Johnson writes, great service. Thank you, Kitty.
Oh, Vicky.
Thank you,
Hi,
Vicki.
honey. Hope you're still watching. Love you. So grateful for the time that you took to do this. I know that was probably like, oh, can I really do this? So thanks for stretching and doing what you did. So appreciate it.
Our friend Kevin Conlon writes, thank you for honoring all our African-American brothers and sisters. One day we will celebrate all men and women are created equal.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes,
will.
Kevin. And Beth Schwartz, this is probably answering about the styrofoam. DART processes the styrofoam into raw materials that go to make things like picture frames, crown molding, etc.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
nice.
That's good to know. Thanks, Beth. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I think this was, who did I see this come in from for some reason? Oh, it's from Steve. Wow. Okay, Steve, the person who did all the painting so far in our crowd. Wow, thank you. Great service. So enlightening, so refreshing, so humbling. Love lights the way across the bridge. Amen. And
Amen.
Steve, your love is lighting my way. I so appreciate you.
We all do, Steve. Thank you.
Yes. Keep trying to get to.
Kevin says, I miss not singing with y'all, but he'll be back soon.
Yes, we're sending him healing blessings today. Just
Oh, it
holding you in the
is.
light, Kevin. And I don't know if we get a different set of comments on our website, but let me just.
Yeah, sometimes on
Jump
the
over
live
there.
stream chat, you'll
Okay.
have something different.
Oh, live stream chat?
Yeah,
Oh.
I haven't checked that.
I
Well,
should
I'm
go there.
I'm hanging out over on Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook land. But Parker says he doesn't see anything there.
Okay. It's the Facebook crowd that's used to chat.
Y'all, we love
Yeah.
it. We love it.
Yeah. Don't forget, you guys, to check out the Sacred Heart, Safe Hearts channel at unitycommunityconnect.com for some new materials posted that just help celebrate the African American community.
Yes.
Um,
And just a reminder for everyone, Kitty, in case some don't realize, that at the podcast page, every time there's a podcast, all the slides that you see up here are there in PDF form. So you can view them as you're listening to the podcast or download that material if you'd like to.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, our Sunday services are always on video on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So if you'd like to go to YouTube.com, right?
Yeah.
And
Just
then-
type in Unity in Naperville.
Okay.
It'll show
yeah.
all right up.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you can watch all of our past Sunday services online. And I just got another text if I can get over there. Thank you, Rev Kitty. Please know you are appreciated for stepping forward and being willing to reach out to people of color, your friends and associates, to share their perspective on Black History Month. And thank you for sharing Unity's history and their support or lack of Black ministerial students.
Yeah.
As a Black woman and a Unity Urban Ministerial School student, I love and appreciate you and your willingness to be open. Wish I'd have known that I could have contacted you and you could have chatted more about that. Your willingness to be open and receptive to having a conversation. Thank you for your dialogue. I bless you. I love you. I behold the Christ within you. I will see you
Yes.
soon. That's in light and love. Wanda Faye. Wanda, thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
Man, we got to talk. I'd love to hear more from
I'm
you.
just spitballing here, Kitty, but you know, we have the Safe Hearts channel. That's happening all the time. If you ever want to do an interview with a friend like Wanda and just put it up there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Good idea. You're talking to me.
I'm talking to you. I'm putting it
I thought
on-
you were telling everyone. Just do
I'm
your
putting her
interviews
to
with
work.
Wanda.
I'm
Everyone
putting-
call Wanda. Do an interview with her.
Do an interview.
That's not what
Kitty.
you meant, right?
Put it up there. Well, I mean, I'm taking to heart what some of our friends said in the video, that it's not just 1 month.
Right. Exactly.
It's every single day of the year.
Yeah.
You know, and Black history is American history, and just to educate ourselves
Yes.
more throughout
Yes.
the year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anybody else got something to say?
don't see any new messages here.
Okay. Well, then I am going to head over to unitycommunityconnect.com if you want to join me, and we can see each other and talk to each other online. unitycommunityconnect.com, and look for the live stream chat channel. And there will be a link there to get on Zoom and talk with each other. So I hope that you'll take some time to do that this morning if you've got the time. But otherwise, lots of things going on this week. Hope to see you in one of those rooms for one of those events. And don't forget that if you can help volunteer to help put our stage together over the next few weeks, we're running out of time. So just send an email to admin@unityinnaperville.org, and Melody will get you plugged in with the volunteer team. So grateful. Thanks again to all those who shared their hearts with us this morning. I know I keep saying their names, but I love them all. Paul and Leela and Wayne and Vicky and Kevin. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Looking forward to hearing more from each person that has been part of this experience today. I just want you to reach out to one another and just learn. Keep learning. Okay? Love you all. See you soon.
Blessings.
Yes, ma'am. Where do you go for solace, for comfort? Are there books that you read, or when Maya Angelou needs comforting? Yeah. What do you use?
I'm a student of Unity, and there's a book called
The
Lessons
Unity
in
Church?
Unity Church.
Maya first discovered the Unity Church in her 20s after her voice coach and mentor, Fred Wilkerson, invited her to a service there. Founded in 1889, Unity is a Christian movement that emphasizes affirmative prayer and education as a path to spirituality.
I took a course in Unity about 2 years ago, online. Not to become a member, a minister, but just to understand more deeply. There's a book called Lessons in Truth.
Wow.
And in the book, there's a line which is, God loves me. And when I came to read it to my then mentor, Frederick Wilkerson, the late Frederick Wilkerson, I read, God loves me. And he said, read it again. I said, God loves me. He said, read it again. Read it again. And finally, I said, God loves me. It still humbles me that this force, which made leaves and fleas and